Immediately I walked into my room. I saw James drinking beer. Then I said to him, I am ready to join the brotherhood. James raised his head, ensuring he heard me correctly. He asked me again what I said, and I repeated, I want to join the brotherhood. James screamed, rugged you. No one will ever take you for granted again. He was surprised and asked me what had happened and why I changed my mind. I shared everything I had been experiencing at home, how my mother had been forced into a marriage against her will, and my discoveries in the diary. James was genuinely touched by my story and promised me that after joining the brotherhood, no one will ever oppress me again. I resolved to join the brotherhood, unaware of what laid ahead. 2 days later, James introduced me to a final year student named Bravo, the leader of the Green Lanterns, the brotherhood James had mentioned. A date was set for my initiation. When I inquired about the initiation, James told me it was just simply to introduce me to the rest of the brotherhood and nothing serious. Bianca kept calling, and I kept giving her excuses for my absence. One day after lectures, I ran into Bianca as I stepped out of the lecture theater. She looked at me and said,
AJ, you've been avoiding me. Do you think I don't know?
I was fidgeting, not wanting anyone around to see me with her. So I claimed I had been busy. Bianca continued,
Busy indeed. I wanted to involve my father, but you refused. Why make me love you if you were going to leave me? You didn't even fight for our love.
With that, Bianca burst into tears and ran away. Guilt consumed me that night. Her words echoed in my mind. I felt like a loser. She was right. How could I let someone like him threaten me? I never realized Bianca had feelings for me. At that thought, butterflies danced in my stomach. I knew we both liked each other, but lacked the courage to express it. That night, I tried calling her, but she didn't pick up. On the initiation day, James and I traveled to an unknown location. We trekked through a bush path for a while. It was late, and I wondered how James navigated the area so well. I had expected the initiation to take place at a bar or a restaurant, since I wanted to just meet other members. When it was time for the introduction, I was blindfolded. My heart raced as I, along with 3 others, knelt down while they welcomed us to the Green Lanterns. Although I couldn't see them, their voices indicated a large group. They recited their constitution, emphasizing that an injustice to one is an injustice to all. Finally, they announced a test of endurance and strength. We endured a brutal beating and were left alone in the forest. I lost consciousness for a moment. Why had James deceived me? Every part of my body hurt, but I managed to find my way back to the hostel that night. Upon arriving, I found James sleeping soundly as if nothing had happened. I was shocked he could be so cold and indifferent. The next morning, he smiled and congratulated me. I didn't know how to respond. He explained that finding my way back was part of the test, and if he had helped me, he would have faced some consequences. He assisted me in treating my wounds and my broken arm. For 3 days, I couldn't attend class. Bianca was worried, having not seen me in school. On the 4th day, I went straight to her department. She was surprised to see me, something that hadn't happened in a while. I apologized for my actions. She noticed my injured arm, and I told her I had a domestic accident. How could I admit I had become a cultist? I was constantly worried about my mom and her situation. I knew escaping with her wasn't an option. The village elders would come after us. I had to act quickly. One day, just after leaving the cafeteria, the strange guy approached me again, threatening me for still seeing Bianca despite his warnings. This time, I remained calm, smiling. He was taken aback because the AJ he used to know would have been terrified and started begging. He asked, "What's giving you confidence, guy? Now waiting they give you liver." Just then, James and Uche were behind me. We had all gone to the cafeteria, but I stepped out first. They asked what was happening and questioned him if he didn't know I was their brother. The guy stepped back and began apologizing. Clearly aware of James and Uche's strength, James identified him as JJ, a member of the Red Lion confraternity. That evening, James contacted the Red Lion's leader, demanding they stop sending JJ to threaten me, warning that if it continued, the Green Lanterns would retaliate. I was shocked when I was informed that someone was looking for me 2 days later at my department. I walked out to find JJ, the guy that has been threatening me, waiting for me. Looking remorseful, he apologized profusely and I was taken aback. I felt proud and significant. The same person who had threatened me was now humble. That's the power of the brotherhood. I felt larger than life. Bianca sensed something was off since I started seeing her frequently. We grew closer again and began dating officially. Loving Bianca was the only positive thing in my life for a long while. After 6 months, as a bona fide member of the Green Lanterns, I started planning how to teach Uncle Izu and the elders a harsh lesson. I shared my intentions with the Brotherhood at one of our meetings, and our leader, Bravo, supported me. He assigned me 5 men to help plan and execute the mission. I listed those involved: Uncle Izu, Elder Bunaya, Elder Iroha. We devised a plan. Since Uncle Izu had a weakness for women, we decided to send a girl named Edna, a close acquaintance of the Brotherhood, smart and beautiful. She posed as a client and visited Osigwe Furniture. When Uncle Izu saw her, he was immediately attracted and invited her for lunch. Edna hesitated initially to avoid suspicion, but 2 weeks later, they were dating officially. Uncle Izu was thrilled to be with the university undergraduates and lavished her with money he would never share with us. News of their affair spread, and even my mother complained about it. I just smiled, telling her not to worry, if only she knew my plans. Once, Edna overheard Uncle Izu and Elder Bunaya discussing how Elder Bunaya had asked him for money, lamenting that the last time he gave him a gift was when he bought his car after forcing my mother to marry him. I was not surprised because I knew all along that the elders were compromised. So my mother was forced into a marriage against her will just because of a car. 2 weeks later, I returned home at night, ensuring no one saw me. The next morning, Elder Bunaya discovered his beloved car had been set ablaze. He screamed and attempted to save it, but was reduced to ashes. He ended up hospitalized due to the trauma. Next on my list was Elder Iroha, who owned a large poultry farm. One day, he arrived to find all the birds dead. He was stunned and couldn't believe it. He had taken a loan to expand the farm, so losing all the birds was devastating. He became paralyzed as an aftermath of the situation and confined to a wheelchair. Edna found the documents of my father's house and lands in Uncle Izu's office. She carefully duplicated the keys, and I entered to steal my father's original documents. On one day, Edna even recorded a conversation between Uncle Izu and Elder Bunaya in his office. He questioned Uncle Izu about why everyone involved in Lotana's death was suffering misfortunes, suggesting that perhaps we were paying for our sins. Hearing that recording made me cry. These men had killed my father for greed and power. I had one last mission: to confront Uncle Izu. I knew it wouldn't be easy, so I approached Azuka, known as Amora, a member of the Green Lanterns. I rented a pistol from him for protection. On the confrontation day, I took 2 of my friends from the Brotherhood with me. When I entered Uncle Izu's office, he was shocked. "How did you get here? Get out of here immediately." I told him I knew everything, how he killed my father and bribed the elders to force my mother to marry him. Uncle Izu shouted at me, threatening to destroy me. As he moved closer in anger, I drew the gun out. He stepped back. I played the video evidence of him and Elder Ogbonnaya discussing their crimes, and Uncle Izu began to plead, confessing that greed and jealousy had driven him to murder my father. As he attempted to escape, I shot him. The bullet struck his shoulder. Watching him cry and beg for his life was satisfying as I recalled the pain and tears he had caused us. I moved closer to finish him, but then I heard a commanding voice say, "Drop your weapon. This is the police." I felt a wave of despair. I wanted to end Uncle Izu. In an instant, I was arrested and taken into custody. Bianca visited me upon hearing that I had been detained. She was shocked at how I ended up there. I recounted the story and she wept bitterly, blaming me for keeping her in the dark. The investigating officer informed me I would face court charges in 3 days. I felt no remorse. After all, my mother had regained her entitlements. I dropped the evidence I had with me with my lawyer, who assured me that Uncle Izu will spend the rest of his life behind bars.